Hey guys, thanks for joining me for this 8th episode in Season 3 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests on this episode include friend and local independent singer-songwriter Matt Moran. We'll be talking about, along with his brother and creative partner Dan. We'll be talking about his music process and his social media as well. We'll also visit with our good friend Scott Hamilton Harris, luxury builder, the ultimate home creator of Building Construction Group. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, comment, leave some feedback, and of course, share with your friends. This guy, Matt Moran, I actually met, how many years ago was it that you came into Southwest Oklahoma?
Oh.
It was when you came to the paper, when you were doing work in the paper.
Gosh, I hate to say, but that was like 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Only 4 years?
Only 4 years? Wow.
No, I'm lying because it was 2015, so it was like 7.
All right.
Time passes too quickly.
Time does fly, and Matt, I know now that how long have you been chasing the music dream? I've only known it for a couple of years. I don't know how long it went before that.
Well, I mean, I've been writing songs since I was 14, so I guess that makes it about 20 years now.
Now you got your brother Dan. I'm having a hard time saying Dan Moran and not Dan the Man because maybe this is maybe that's something you guys can talk about.
It was always Dan the whatever it was, man, Moran.
This is Dan. This is my road partner, my creative partner. We're twins, so we're like built-in best friends.
Now, when did the two of you first? Did you work with him writing an inspiration when he was younger as well, or did music inspiration hit you at a different point?
It took Matt a while to realize that I was a decent musician in the way that he needed a musician. To be fair, though, my musical background is really very classical. Mm-hmm. Like I took piano lessons all the way through school, and then I went to college, and I was in band. I was in That Alta's band.
Yeah. And
then I went to be a SWASU Bulldog in the SWASU band, and I was in the orchestra and the jazz band. And it wasn't until Matt was in another outfit called The Typist where they're like, hey, can you just come up with some quick keyboard parts for us to play? And I was like, sure. They weren't ready for what I brought there. They were like, well, you can't record this and you not be in the band now. So
now how hard is it to get? See, I'm band learned musician as well, so I read music. And I know there's a lot of artists that play music, and they play by numbers. I mean, how hard is it to talk band lingo as opposed to like country or pop band lingo? You know what I'm talking about, the writing process?
Yeah, Matt doesn't give himself enough credit in the music theory department. Like, he knows more than he lets on. And so we really communicate pretty easily, so...
Yeah, he just, to give you an example, we're pretty good communicating on the theory level, as far as
core names
and all that stuff. But Dan always hits me with these nuggets of knowledge. Like we just got off tour and we were in Boise, Idaho, and it was the morning after the gig. We're sitting around in this crappy little hotel parking lot, and I'm trying to write a song, and I'm working on it, and I look over at him, and I'm like, the song's in D, and I'm like, man, I really want to throw like an F sharp major chord in there, but I don't know how to do it, but I know he does, so I can just be like, tell me how to work this F sharp major in, and he's like, oh yeah, you do that, and then go to the minor 6, you'll be fine. So he's a lot smarter than me on music theory, but it's
more technical.
He can communicate with the baby,
Yeah. Now for you, what was it that sparked the music a couple of years ago? The life change, if you will, the kind of change of direction, if you will.
To be honest, it was like up until about 5-6 years ago. I've been playing music, but I was raising a family. I've got 3 kids, so pretty much throughout my 20s was just spent focusing, raising the kids, providing, and being able to have that, give them that normal childhood experience. And then they kind of got, they got to the age where they're pretty self-sufficient and, it was at that point, I went out, I played a couple gigs, and I realized that people would actually pay me to do it. Because up to that point, nobody had really paid me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it hit me. It was like, I can actually do this for a living if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for the first time ever in my life. And so I just decided, like, after I booked those first couple gigs, I'm just going to chase this road and see where it goes. And here we are.
Now, where's been the coolest place that you've had the opportunity to play so far?
Oh man, you're gonna put it on me like that?
Yeah.
Well, we just played in Ventura, California, a few weeks ago. That was really cool. That was
a neat place.
Apparently, every Sunday in Ventura, because when you're on the road, you can't expect too much from anything that's not a Friday or Saturday, right?
Right.
So it's always kind of a crapshoot. But we got hooked up with a place in Ventura, and apparently there's like 8 blocks of Main Street that they closed down. Like, no cars, nothing. And I swear there were probably 1,000 people out there.
Just milling around on the street.
Just, coming in, hanging out with some music and stuff. And all the vendors or the shops and the restaurants, they just bring everything outside. Because, it's Southern California. It's beautiful. They don't know what bad weather is. So, like, yeah, so that was a really cool experience from our last tour, was just being able to be out there amongst 1,000 people just playing our songs and people getting into it, buying our merch, tipping us, and just that was really cool.
With social media, being an independent artist, how much do you have to rely on social media to get the word out there and also to stay engaged with fans about upcoming events, music, and all that stuff as well? And how challenging is that?
I will let Dan answer this question because he got to see me. He's with me 24/7 on tour. So how often do I have to spend on social media?
Oh man, I took on most of the drive. After about the first day, we kind of left and we thought, well, we'll 50-50 the driving. But I drove the first leg all the way to Santa Fe, and I'm pretty sure Matt, when he wasn't sleeping, was on his social media all the time, replying to messages and replying to comments.
Yeah, it's just how we connect.
It's a full-time job, more than a full-time job.
But I'll take it because I compare it to what it was like, being in my late teens and early 20s, where you're going to Walmart passing out flyers and giving out CDs, and it's a lot easier than that. So yeah. I'll take it. It's a lot more fun than that. I try to have fun on social media. I don't like to treat my social media accounts as like just advertising, because I think that's nobody wants to be blasted with flyers and stuff all the time. I use my accounts. It has my Matt Moran music on it, but it's just me. And then I'll let you know when I've got something cool going on.
Yeah. I have just in the last month and a half found the Reels thing, and last night I was looking through on my Facebook and Instagram Reels, and my 17-year-old daughter, I was like, "Would you believe 2 months ago if I would have told you that I'm putting out Reels every day?" She goes, "There's no way, Dad. You got to slow down. You're doing it too much. You're inundating people." But yeah, and like the Reels, I might mention the podcast, once, twice a week, but usually it's what you guys saw on your way up the stairs. It's my animals, because people like them better than us anyway, right?
Right.
It's kind of a funny story. By trade, I'm an 8th grade English teacher in Sayre, and one day I came into class and some of my kids were in the back of the room kind of giggling, and I was like, "Hey, what's up back there, guys?" And they're like, "We found your brother's TikTok." And I was like, "Oh no." They were like, and I was like, "Oh yeah, what do you think of that?" And they're like, "He's like a celebrity, man." And I was like, "No, he's not. What are you talking about?"
He's my brother.
He's got like 30,000 followers, man. And I was like, "Okay."
He's not a celebrity. He's a jerk with a phone.
He plays some music. People like him. That's good stuff. Now, how eye-opening is it for the ability for small market people to have an opportunity to chase that dream? That's people ask me whenever I moved to Hobart, they were like, "Well, how are you still going to do the podcast and things like that?" But
I don't see that as any limits anymore because of social media, because of the internet, and of course podcasting is online anyway.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's one thing, like for me, I've never had that dream of, like, a lot of people have a dream of, like, I'm going to move to this city and do this. And it's easy to get trapped in moving somewhere and getting involved in that rat race. I mean, how many people have gotten involved in the Nashville rat race, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I have guitar will travel. Like, it does not bother me to travel. I love living out in rural Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And I would much rather live out here and travel to play shows than have to live in the rat race. Some people thrive in the rat race.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of them. I've tried it. I've lived in Oklahoma City. I've lived in Norman. I've lived in Tulsa. And it's not my scene. I like it out here.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get me wrong. I absolutely love those places. And I there's nowhere better to spend.
They're wonderful places to visit.
Yeah.
Yes. There's nowhere better to spend a Friday night than, the Blue Bonnet in Norton.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But day-to-day living, I like it out here.
I know. I posted, speaking of reels, last night I was going out and I told my daughter, so I'm just going to go out on the porch and just enjoy the evening. And I stepped out and I was going to make a little video for my buddy that lives in New York and just be like, this is what I love about Southwest Oklahoma. And as I was panning the picture or the video, there was absolutely no sound. There was no cars, no engines. There was nothing running. All you could hear was nature. And I was like, okay, that's got to be a reel. That's not going to be a personal video. That's what I love so much is it's still.
Oh yeah.
You're still in nature, it feels like.
Yeah, and it's definitely a personality thing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people thrive in the hustle and bustle, and some of us don't.
Yeah.
But I don't think that has to dictate the things you do or the goals you have.
Yeah.
Just can make it a little more difficult.
Now being Southwest Oklahoma, what is your inspiration for your songwriting?
I always say that in my songs, every song I write, I intend to represent the people I live with and around. Like, it's not like we've got a lot of, songwriters coming out of here. So, our part of the populace is almost unrepresented in music. And if I can represent, our half of the state and the people that live here, that's what I want to do, because I stay here because I love the people here. They're my people. They might be, out there. They might be crazy.
That's my people.
But that's my people. That's who I want to live around. That's what I grew up around, and that's what I know.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to bring to the world and show the world is like, this is who we are.
Yeah. Now, when's the next road trip? When's the next road trip for you?
Well, we got a small one coming up this weekend. We're playing in Altus on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to Denton to play at Harvest House, and then Magnolia Motor Lounge in Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
But our next long run isn't till July 14th. We're going out to Brooklyn and back.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. We're playing Norman, Fort Worth, Little Rock, Cincinnati, a bunch of places along the way. And we're
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth, yeah.
Portsmouth, that's cool.
Did I say Fort Worth again? They're all forts.
They're all forts. There's a lot of forts. He said Fort Cobb. We're playing Fort Cobb. That's what. Now, if folks want to keep up with the music, the tour dates, and the merch, you got to have merch too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where's best place?
Best place is mattmoranmusic.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's got everything I know about you can know about if you go to mattmoranmusic.com. And maybe even some things that I don't know about. I forgot or something. But that's the best place. That's where I keep all my, you can pick up merch, all that stuff. And then all my socials are just Matt Moran Music. So you can go on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just type in Matt Moran Music, and there I will be, for better or worse.
And is it DanTheManMoran.com?
No, my socials are not worth visiting. I'm a total social media voyeur. I look all the time and never post anything.
That's funny. And this is not the interview I would have expected the word voyeur to come out of.
English teacher, man. I got the vocab.
Well, Matt and Dan, I appreciate you guys making the trek over to be on the show. Look forward to seeing you. I won't be down in Altus this weekend. I'm going to have to catch you next time you come nearby, and look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Good to be here.
Always great to have our friends back on the show, and man, a lot of life has changed since we visited last time with our good friend Scott Hamilton Harris, luxury home builder. And Scott, first off, great to see you, brother.
It's good to see you, Cameron. It's been too long.
It has been too long, and like I said, life has changed. And you notice I actually have a different background, and that is not a green screen or anything. I actually have a home studio now, so there you go.
I love it. What is that, a leopard?
It is. My daughter said my daughter said of the photos or the pictures that we had, that has to be the background. So 17-year-old, she makes those decisions.
Maybe it's your spirit animal.
There you go. Well, Scott, since we last spoke, man alive, prices on everything have gone up, and as a luxury home builder, I mean, how much has that thrown a wrench into what you guys have planned?
It's not been a bad thing for us, right? Because out of all honesty, we charge by a percentage, right? So if you're taking a tax of what you sell, but what it's done for us is it's made a lot more legwork, so we have to earn our money now. The cost of steel, cost of wood, cost of copper, it's currently going up and down all the time. And so, we've got clients that are very well equipped, they're millionaires, they're billionaires, and they're like, hey, Scott, cost of wood just dropped, give me a discount. And they don't understand that, it's a commodity. So when I'm buying it from asphalt, lumber supply company, they didn't drop their prices, right? It's just like gasoline. When the price of oil goes down, right, by barrel, the gasoline pumps don't drop it that day. Right. You keep it as high as long as you can until it stops selling. Then you drop your prices. So it's an interesting to explain to clients that they're still getting the best deal. It's essentially like I'm buying gasoline for people, and they all think they know the best place to get it. So it's interesting, but so you make a little more, but you earn your money, so it's kind of a wash. Yeah. And
last time we spoke, the weather was, well, where you're at, it's never cold, but it was cold here. And I remember I was in my garage actually when we were doing the last episode. And now that summer is officially here, what are some of the favorite summer projects that you guys get to work on?
Our projects are multi-year projects. So my favorite summer project is taking my boys out and doing something with them on summer vacation. But, we have projects that go 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So we go through the seasons. And what's nice about the summertime for us is we don't have to worry about the rain. And that is a really big consideration when you're building these large homes, right, that are on hillsides, and you have to deal with erosion control. And it's really strict in the city of Los Angeles. I can't have a piece of gravel fall off the side of my project, or you're fined. And so for us, just being able to work in a dry environment, albeit hot. And by the way, we have air conditioned offices, so we're fine. But, man, those guys sweat out there though. And I appreciate it. Wow, that's some whoosh. You want some water? So, it's been really good. We like working during the summertime. And also the good thing about it is, Cameron, your clients go on vacation. So that's great. We'll talk to you in 3 weeks. Wonderful. So
that's your favorite response, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll have a great time. We'll see you back. And you know what? We'll buy you an extra week. How about that?
And Scott, I know that whenever we were first looking at this house, I sent you a link to it, had you take a couple looks at it, and you offered me some insight back in the day. And once we moved in, obviously there were some questions, and my wife, I would be remiss if I talked to you a first time without asking you, how can she unstick painted windows?
unstick painted windows. Now we got to tell me what kind of windows are they? Are they wood? Are they casement?
They are wood. They are wood with the ropes on the side.
The double hung, right? All right. So first thing is you get a utility blade.
Right.
Get a Rockstar, some Monster, have that. That's going to help you a little bit. I've had the same thing, but it's really, what you want to do. It's not about WD-40. It's about a little bit of elbow grease. And you have to take a razor blade and very carefully just start to score the paint. I'm assuming they're painted shut.
Yes.
And, you're going to have to just continually scrape it. And then what you're going to do is take the razor blade out of the utility blade holder and just slide it down and just keep scoring on all sides. Oftentimes the underside of the sash will be stuck to the sill though too, just from time. And once you've cleared the sides of the window, you may have to go on the outside, and get a little wedge. Make sure the window's unlocked, by the way. You're really going to have some problems, but take those little wood shims. If you've seen those, you can get them at any Home Depot store. And, put 2 or 3 in, just tap, 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 tap around the bottom of it. You're probably going to get a little paint damage and the wood's going to get a little, damage, but your window will be operational. What's really nice about those old rope windows with the double hung with the weights and is you can buy replacements for those, and they're pretty simple to and they really, in my opinion, they were some of the best windows when those things were operational, because they don't have mechanical parts, right? They just have, it's just basically this thing called the gravity works. And I'd encourage you to get some new weights, some new ropes, put them in there once you get it open. And there's usually a little area on the side where you can take off the cover, right? And you'll have beautiful windows. So they'll be the best ever.
And Scott, go figure, of all the windows that open in the house, the only ones that do not open would be the ones that my wife wants open. She doesn't care about my studio windows. Every single window in my studio opens perfectly.
Well, of course, it's for you. Well, you can tell your wife that she's getting energy efficient windows right now.
That is right.
Because, that is the downside of those windows, is there's no energy efficiency to them. I mean, it's almost nil. And if you wanted to take it to the next step, you can have the glass replaced. And they have what's called, I know everyone uses the dual insulated glass, but they have low UV glass, and it's a piece of laminated glass, and there's a barrier in between, so it'll stop a lot of the heat gain from coming into the house. It'll probably pay for itself in about a year, because what you'll spend on air conditioning. I don't know. Does it get hot there or not really?
Yeah, it has been rather hot this last couple of weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I'm sure it gets cold over there. So
yes, it does.
It'll keep the heat in as well. So something to consider. Do your office first. Don't tell her I said that. You got to take care of her spaces first. You take care of her, she takes care of you, right?
You got that right. Well, each month we talk some questions from viewers, and I know we've got some questions. Is it time we get into those questions, Scott?
I don't like what. Hold on. What time is it? Yeah. I think we're good.
It is that time.
That's time.
Well, Kendra from Cincinnati says, what makes a house luxurious? Do you have to spend a lot of money to make a home look more upscale? And she says, how do I do that? And what should I focus on doing first?
Luxury is not about what you put on the walls, right? It's not about branding. I think there's a misconception about what luxury is just because it's such a used word in marketing, right? And, buy this, it's luxurious. Give me your money, it's luxurious. It's not about putting Prada wallpaper up with a print or, Gucci bedspread or a cashmere throw that's $3,000 over the edge of the couch. It's about how you feel. It's not something that's so tangible. It's about a feeling, and luxury is about how you feel when you're in the home, how you feel when you're out of the home, about wanting to come back, right? So that's what luxury is. And, things you can do, and can be for you. We talked about this, Cameron. Colors are very inexpensive. They don't charge me more if I get the perfect color. They don't charge me less if I got the wrong one. And so color selection can have a significant impact. And if you're not great at picking colors, Most men seem to be colorblind, or they claim to be. Pick something neutral and stay on a simple palette, carry it all the way through the home. And that in itself is luxurious, and here's a great luxury is, having someone clean your house.
Yeah.
That's just the best luxury I've ever had, and with that said, it's about not having visual. We talked about this, not having the visual clutter, being able to wake up in the bed and just smile. Whatever it is that you're looking at, that first thing you see, whether it's just the top of your dresser, whether it's the perfect window just framed with those drapes, those are the things that you want to think about is where do you spend your space and time, and what do you want that area to look like and feel like when you're looking, right now, I mean, I see behind you, but what you're seeing, Cameron, do you feel luxurious?
It doesn't feel luxurious. It feels like we're still unpacking.
Yeah, but right. So it's about what you see and it's about what you feel. It's not about what you buy. That's what luxury is.
And like you said, it doesn't always cost a whole lot, and it could just be as much as just a color change.
A color change will do it. Furniture change can do it. Fresh flowers in a house, they really, they're underrated as far as what it feels like. Go to the local grocery store, buy some just beautiful plants and some orchids and flowers for yourself. Indulge yourself a little bit. They bring life into the house and it gives that resort-like feeling. If you ever notice, you go to resorts, there's always a fresh flowers.
Right.
It worked, right? That's part of the luxurious feeling. And I just finished this article, so it's funny. It's like you write things and then you kind of, that's not a bad idea. But it was about resort living and making your house into a staycation. And it was about also bringing the outdoors in as well, and having like a very, a space in which you can open your doors and having, so not only the space inside your house, right, with the colors and the palette, you can pull some of those things into the outside, and that makes it feel like you're not living in a box anymore. It makes it feel like you're living on the plantation.
There you go. That is good. That is good. Well, next up, we've got a question from Ray from Seattle, Washington. And he says, do you have any do-it-yourself fixes for stuck windows, cracks in drywall?
Well, let's see. Can we hit rewind on
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, I guess we talked about that. So Ray got the answer if he was listening on the first half. Cracks, and Ray wants his crack fixed. Okay.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people ask me to fix their crack. The best answer, which is true, you just use caulking. It's just put caulk. But anyway,
pronunciation is very important whenever you say that.
Exactly. So, how to fix drywall? That was the question, right? Or cracks in drywall. Here's the thing that's important is to find out where the crack came from, jokes aside. Because something moved in a house, right? And whenever we see a crack, that's indicative of movement in a home. And what you want to find out is what caused it, and you're going to watch it. And I'll tell you some tips. If you ever see a crack that's at the corner of a door or window, that's a settlement problem. And you're probably, good luck on fixing that one. You also want to look at the crack and see if there's any signs of somebody patching it prior to that as well. And that tells you it's an ongoing problem. Best thing that you can do to fix cracks in drywall is not with spackle. It's not with putty. It's not with drywall mud. You want to go in there and carve out, with a razor blade, as much of the loose matter as you can. Then what you're going to do is use this fiberglass mesh tape that's at most home stores. You've seen it before, that yellow stuff. Mm-hmm. Self-adhesive, anybody can do it. You just stick it up. And it gives a little bit of rigidity to the area. Next step is you're going to take some, basically like drywall compound, but it's got a lot more glue in it. And so you mix that up in a little container and you put up, it dries like a rock. So you got to be careful. It is sandable, but you do that and you're set for, at least a week, 2 weeks before the house moves again.
And houses tend to move more where you're at than they do here.
It's the house. Yeah. I mean, it does during earthquakes, but what we find a lot, and I don't know, maybe you're on the flats, but we live in Los Angeles. It's a lot of hilly areas.
Right.
And so what happened, like with the Northridge earthquake, is some houses were leveled, some weren't, and nobody understood why. Well, I can explain it. When you have some topography that's got these little rolling hills that were natural, Bob came by with the contractor came by, and he had his little, excavator and just bulldozer. He knocked off the top of one hillside and he pushes it into the next. And so what you end up having is areas where you're sitting on natural grade, and the house next door where they pushed everything over to make it level with your neighbor's lot, you're sitting on uncompacted fill. And it was not until recently that they start to realize that there needs to be a soils inspector out there to make sure it's compacted properly. So, when your footings, they're about, about this deep, and you're thinking that you're sitting on Earth, and Earth is the stable rock of the world. You're just sitting on a bowl of jelly, and that's pretty much what happened. And so the liquefaction factor happened, which is just basically where all the grains just start rolling around. I mean, the way homes are built, they're really, most of them are just about, it's just to support the top. It doesn't really grab the earth. And so we have that consistently here in Los Angeles. And look anywhere in the world where they've just pushed the dirt over, just, you're going to have that problem. So, they move everywhere, unfortunately.
Well, next we've got, Tammy from Dallas, Texas. And she says, how do you suss out a water drainage, water pressure problem in an older home?
Why does it matter if it's older? I don't know. I don't know, Tammy. Tammy, call me after. We have to find this out. We have issues about old homes.
Yeah.
So there's two things there. We were talking about drainage and water pressure, right? They're both completely opposite. And I guess maybe there's a problem with both. Water pressure, I'll start off, that's the easy one. To do water pressure check, you go out to this thing called the regulator, and you can go out there and see what the water pressure is. There's usually a box somewhere, somewhere by the street, and it's got a bunch of cobwebs, and it's a little concrete box somewhere. And you find where the water comes in, and there's like a little dirty window that you kind of have to spit on and clean it off,
right,
and don't tell anybody. And you'll see a needle on there. So you want your water pressure to be, around, usually around 75, 80, 85 is a good pressure. What happens is those regulators get stuck. And so you can have a water pressure problem. Usually, though, the regulators get stuck in the off position, and you have the opposite of a water pressure problem, because city water pressure is constantly changing depending on how much water they're pumping in the system, depending how many people turn on their sprinklers, and it's fluctuating all day. And you can have, at one moment, it's very low. Another moment, it can be up to 300 PSI. And something to know is I've seen a lot of homes that have that problem, and most of your fixtures, like your water faucets, your toilets, they're only designed to handle like 75 to 80.
Right.
And if your regulator's not working, you can have a major leak in your house at 300 PSI, because it'll blow out the fittings and the gaskets in your fixtures and your dishwasher. And that's a very common problem that people don't check. So Tammy's a really good question on that. If you have low water pressure, I don't know, write Congress. I don't know what to tell you about that one. That's not a fixable one. You can get a pumping system, but it's quite expensive. So most people aren't going to do that. Just call it water conservation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
As far as drainage goes, what you want to do is check. Here's something that I should have told you about. I don't know. Do you have any drainage problems in your house?
Whenever it rains, if it rains very much, we do have a little drainage in the basement.
Oh, that kind of drainage. So you mean like sites? There's two different kinds of drainage. There's site drainage, which is like the ability for the site to get all the water off that's falling from the sky. And then you have the drainage with your pipes. So that's not a good problem to have. Maybe I can tell you how to fix that.
We probably should at some point, huh?
Yeah. I mean, if you have that kind of problem, I'll just tell you quickly, you can just trench around the basement or the house, whatever you can get to. you would put in what they call a French drain, if you've heard of those. They're basically a white pipe. I don't know why I don't think the French invented them, but it's basically a really big white PVC pipe that's 4 inches in diameter, and it's got holes drilled. And it's important you put the holes upside down, not on the top. And you do, like, let's say if you were to do it, you'd have a 12-inch by 12-inch gravel pit. You drop that into the 12. It's part of that gravel pit. So as the water starts to get water pressure, it'll actually suck up into the pipe, and it'll give a way for water to be able to get out before it kind of drips down there. It's not perfect, but it'll relieve the pressure. So you have an air pocket in there, right? By putting it upside down, so the water just is going to want to flow in there into that air, into the vacuum.
I'm not a home builder. We've got a sump. We've got the big, we've got the 12 by 12 hole, and we've got a water level, I guess. And, and it has a pipe that comes out, and it never goes above that level. And if it does, it's got a pump that pumps it out. I don't know. I'm just a homeowner.
You want to know about that thing.
Okay.
Do you have any plumbing fixtures below grade? You don't. So the sump pump is for site drainage then, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's what I'd recommend to you, Cameron. I would recommend getting that pump looked at and possibly replaced, because as you're telling me, it has a space level and it never goes above it. Well, guess what? The moment that motor breaks, it will go well above it and you'll flood.
Okay.
Okay. And you may not even be aware of how much water is getting pumped out. We had a project that it was a beautiful home in Holmby Hills, and had some rain and the pump broke. Even just having it unplugged, and most of them have a backup pump, but usually the backup pump's frozen by the time the other pump breaks. And
right.
That pump going out, you're done. You're going to have me come over there and help you again.
It's all fun and games.
Yeah. All fun and games till someone's house gets flooded. So right. Check that one out.
Well, we've got one more question. It's from Jamil from San Diego, California. Said that their kitchen ceiling looks bubbled, like there's a big bulge, and the walls look like the paint melted. What is that?
His bulge fixed. What is that? Let's see. Well, Jamil, I'd say that's similar to what we were talking about, Cameron. It's all comes down to water. It's one of the best business makers for us, money makers, but it's also one of the saddest things. Because the homes are made out of biodegradable materials. They are not designed to let water run through them. And that's an obvious sign of some leak. It's easy to tell if it's a roof leak or some kind of exterior leakage versus a plumbing fixture, because usually for plumbing, if it's a plumbing line, right? This just happened to Marina as well. And if you have a leak, there sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll have a small drip, but they'll usually blow up and they're big. So if you see some kind of, it can also be condensate. Have you ever seen those white lines that come from your HVAC system up in the attic or wherever they're stored? Those can often be a problem because those will fill up with water. There's a pan that's got a little drainage tube, and when it gets clogged because you didn't get up there and do your maintenance, it starts spilling over the pan and it stops coming out of the tube. And you get this, so you don't realize it's really hard to find if you don't know what you're looking for, because every time you turn on the air conditioner in the middle of summer, you're like, what the is that there? And you get like, there's no water pipes up here. This is really weird. There's no rain. And so, the easy thing is we cut it open. And the concerning thing is that something like that will cause mold.
Right.
So, you cut open a 12 by 12 square, look and see what's up there. Usually it's an aha moment. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, yeah. I knew that. I should have hired that plumber.
It's not the aha. It's the aha.
And who put newspaper up here, too? I knew about this. And, you want to just replace it. And we already talked at the beginning of the show about how to do the drywall repair, right? And so you can go and buy a piece of drywall. Same process with the fiberglass mesh tape. And have a little painting party, and don't hire that plumber again.
There you go. Well, Scott, I know that you also have a newly published article. I wanted to give you a chance to kind of talk about some of the other projects that you've got going on right now as well.
Yeah, we've been, I had taken a little hiatus from writing, and I didn't realize how much I missed it. So, yeah, I'm doing writing as for architecture and design for Green Home Builders, one of the few magazines that are still in print for the trade industry, and a few others. And then project wise, we started a beautiful one by the Getty. I don't know if you've seen it. The Getty Museum, it's in the Santa Monica Mountains, and it's up on one of the highest hills up there, a higher elevation. It's just amazing. You can see Catalina Island.
Oh, wow.
You can see the ocean, the cityscape. Beautiful. It's like this aerial view. And it's a 10,000 square foot house. It's going to be about a $10 million remodel, which it's just amazing that people do this. And so we started off, we're on the edge of the cliff right now, and we're building a $1 million retaining wall there, just to make, to make the lot bigger. It's also to stabilize the lot as well. And that one is going to be spectacular. I think one of my favorites, and one of my very favorites that we're doing, I don't know if you've been watching, it's getting close to being closed and finished, is a 35,000 square foot home for one of the most historical architects in Los Angeles. It was his original home as they were settling Los Angeles and Los Feliz. And the entire home is clad in stone, hand-carved limestone. Just solid blocks, the coins which are on the corners of the building. Mm-hmm. They're carved out of one block just so it doesn't have a mitered seam. It's just, and we have these beautiful just shapes and hand-carved reliefs of, grapevines and acanthus leaves. And then the inside is just, I go there, every other day, and I'm still stunned. And just I can't believe I'm doing this. This is amazing. And as it's great. It's like for a family of, just for a small family, and they're just like regular everyday people. Hi, hey, John. Hey, hi. You're really going to open this 13-foot bronze door, huh? Wow. Like, Eric, come on in. It's just, it's like, I don't know if you know what Hearst Castle is. But
I've been looking at it quite a bit lately.
Yeah, well, Hearst would be upset about this one because this is the new castle on the hill. Even the pool's got the fountains. It has the mosaic in it as well. So something spectacular that I'm really excited to share that with. And, a lot of other ones that we can't talk about. So that's what we're doing.
That's cool. Well, Scott, if folks want to keep up with you social media wise and website, where's the best place to keep up with everything you've got going on?
On Instagram, it's Scott_Harris_building. I don't know where you do the tags or how you say all of that stuff. I'm still not savvy enough on that. Just DM me or whatever, EM me or whatever that is.
That's right.
Oh, and then my website is buildingcgroup.com. But if you wanted to reach out to me, it would be scott@buildingcgroup.com is my email address. So anyone has any questions, anything I can answer, I love to help. That's why I do this. That's why I devoted my lifetime to helping people. Most people I do have to charge because I have to take care of my family and kids, but I look for free advice and help when I can.
That's awesome. Well, Scott, always great to see you, my friend. And it won't take so long before next time.
All right. Sounds good, Cameron. It's good to see you and happy to see your new place.
Thanks again for joining us for this 8th episode in Season 3 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, a question, or anything else you'd like to know, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at GQ with Cam, or you can find my personal page at The Cameron Dole. If you have a special guest idea, just email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. Thanks again to our good friend Brandon Allen, who came up with our theme music for the podcast. We're going to let him play us out and hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.